And we begin with Thursday's Telegraph and a fairly light headline to start the show, Steve.
Yeah, so try and keep this snappy, shall I? Accidental nuclear war with China, growing risk.
Yay!
And this is according to Sir Stephen Lovegrove. This is the UK's national security advisor, saying that we could accidentally end up in a nuclear war with China. Now, I've had many an accident in my time, but you'd think you don't have to call up one of those, have you had an accident at work, things over a war.
No.
But the part of what this is about is how the way in which we communicated with back in the old days, back in the Cold War days, there was a system in place where there was more rules of engagement, effectively,
yes.
which was rules of no engagement because we would wipe each other off the planet.
Yes.
And without
mutually assured destruction, that was the idea.
Without this dialogue, we might not have this mutually assured destruction. But I've been reading through this thinking, surely our goals are still aligned as much as neither one of us wants to be wiped off the globe.
Yes. Well, is there an added problem that we are quite dependent on China? I mean, you saw these major corporations pulling out of Russia in protest over the war in Ukraine, but they don't really have much to lose there financially, whereas pulling out of China, that's not going to happen, is it? I mean, is this going to cause trouble as well?
That is a separate trouble in its own right, and horribly, it's actually a solution to this.
Really?
Because
Why?
actually, well, if we are so dependent on China, and there was a story we talked about on the show recently about even our university research requires China. If suddenly we break ties, we won't know as much. Then actually what that means is we will just be beaten before we even get to the nuclear weapons.
I mean, that's a problem, though, as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard stories about how Chinese investment in American universities often involves changing what is taught on those various programs. And so this kind of influence is a little pernicious.